American biotech company Moderna has some apparent good news about its coronavirus vaccine. I say apparent because I think we all have to be conscious of the dynamic that these companies are racing to come up with the vaccine, and that some of these articles that come out are kind of de facto press releases for these biotech companies, for these companies manufacturing these vaccines, and we're seeing a new piece every week, it seems like. Promising vaccine, promising results here. And a lot of this is just executives talking to the media and giving a favorable outlook of what's going to happen. There's going to be 3 or 4 or 5 vaccines in a few months, in six-ish months. It's going to take a while for those to be more widespread because the restrictions and the testing protocol has become so loosened that there's just this race to find a vaccine. And now Moderna was up big in the stock market today, soared up 30-40% in early trading. What do you know? When this New York Times article comes out, talks about the promise of their vaccine, they make a lot of money in the stock market. So there are enormous incentives to say that their vaccine shows promise. But it's not all cynical doom and gloom stuff. There is some promise in what Moderna said to the Times. Their vaccine that they tested in regular people appears to be safe and able to stimulate an immune response against the virus, they said today. The findings are based on results from the first 8 people who each received 2 doses of the vaccine starting in March. So again, just 8 people, but the details are encouraging. Those people, healthy volunteers, made antibodies that were tested in human cells in the lab and were able to stop the virus from replicating, the key requirement for an effective vaccine. The levels of those so-called neutralizing antibodies matched the levels found in patients who had recovered after contracting the virus in the community. The company has said that it is proceeding on an accelerated timetable, as I mentioned before, with the second phase involving 600 people to begin soon, and a third phase to begin in July involving thousands of healthy people. The FDA gave Moderna the go-ahead for the second phase earlier this month. They also did similar trials in mice and found that the vaccine could prevent the virus from replicating in the mice's lungs, whatever. I can't do the plural. The only adverse effect was soreness at the injection site, except when they went to the highest possible dose, people would experience fever-like symptoms, headaches, similar kind of flu-like symptoms that went away within a day. Moderna says if this trial goes well, the vaccine could be available by late this year or early 2021, and the former seems ambitious to me. I think vaccines are only going to be able to be given out at the start of next year. I don't see November, December as likely, but the Trump administration is completely doing away with normal protocols when it comes to vaccines like this, which is good and bad. I understand the urgency, but it's very likely to be unsafe, let's be honest with you. And then, those anti-vaxxers, they are going to go nuts. Moderna is using genetic material from a virus called messenger RNA, or mRNA, and tens of companies are using this technology to race to get the vaccine for coronavirus. Bottom line is multiple companies, as I said before, will come out with their version of a vaccine, most likely. Universities have been working on this for a while, including Oxford University. Before this pandemic even ravaged the world, Oxford has been working on it for a long time, which I think could show some promise there as well, because their studies aren't going to be as rushed. But then again, there was some shady stuff allegedly that came out with them fudging their numbers. So I like good news. We are starved for good news. But I also think we have to be wary of who this news benefits. And the fact that Moderna made a ton of money today on the stock market goes to show that there are some benefits to coming out and saying that, this shows promise, even if it may not pan out in the end. I'm sure you all have seen new article after new article about promising vaccines, promising treatments. How many of those are going to pan out when we look back in a year? I don't know, But it's just something to think about when we're talking about the dynamics of for-profit capitalistic healthcare behind this pandemic.